Hi there, it's Fiona. I'm just getting organized here. Ah, so nice to be with you. It really is. It's so nice to stop everything and just focus. So we are just getting the hang of doing this stuff. She says in a slightly Texan drawl, we're just getting the hang of doing this stuff. And we're getting the hang. You know what I really need to do is find a way, find someone who can help me. If you know anyone, let me know. Who can put up, like a reminder or just an alert on YouTube that we're going live at a particular time? Because at the moment we don't seem to know how to do that. And that would be great. So I am just going to chit chat to myself until y'all get here, until someone gets here. We are going to start on the hour. So I'm dressed as if it's a beautiful sunny day. I've got a little bit of Ibiza going on here. I used to live in Ibiza for a couple of years. And, in the summer anyway, we're in neon colors. So bit of a party island. Not that you have to party necessarily to live there. But anyway, so I got a little bit of Ibiza going on, even though actually it's very, very wet. It's England, it's August, and it is raining. But, I don't actually mind that much. I'm away from Thursday on a little mini break, heading off to see my son. So I'm just working until then. And then, God willing, the weather will be lovely from Thursday onwards, so I can have like a little holiday. So delighted to be here. I did my first live the other day. I don't know if you were here, but made a complete mess of it. Pressed all the wrong buttons, did all the wrong thing, put in earpods, and it just created the most screeching noise. It's just not a good thing to do when you're due to go on live at 10 o'clock. At 10 to 10 to be like stripping beds, taking laundry off beds for the washing machine. I think I do things like that when I get nervous. I just do this weird stuff, which then makes me late and very stressed, which is exactly what happened. But hey ho, if you're there, give me a thumbs up, say hello, anyone that's there, just so I know it's still a little bit early. And then I did it straight away again. But it just meant that it was after most people had gone. But hey ho, we got it done anyways. So here's what I was talking about on the live, if you've seen it. I was just talking about the times that we're living in, tough times, challenging times, times that are fear-filled. And I was talking about that the opportunity is, if you like, it's mastery. It's mastery. It's self-mastery. It's how to handle yourself, how to manage yourself, how to manage your state, your mood, your motivation, your everything in these times, because we can't wait for the world to change. We can't wait for external circumstances to reconfigure themselves so that we get to feel better. Now, the truth is, that's always actually been the way. It's always been the way. But these current times are really giving us an opportunity to see that explicitly, yeah? Because, if you're waiting for the world to change so that you can feel better, these days, that's a pretty risky thing to do. So the opportunity is to acknowledge that and see the incentive that there is to take care of your inner world. And that's what I want to share with you this evening. As soon as people start arriving, that's what we're going to do. I have direct experience of this for myself a couple of years ago. And I want to share that with you. So it's not just an academic here. This is a good idea to try this. I read it in a book. So it's not an academic thing. It really is I got to a stage where I really needed to change how I was doing life. and I wasn't quite sure what to do differently. And in that place of being humble, but also being desperate, I didn't create. I can't say I created. I opened up the door, if you like, to a great change in my life. And it gave me peace overnight. And what I got to see was that my external circumstances hadn't changed one iota. Not a single thing had changed. And yet I felt completely different. A change had come upon me. So, that's what I really wanted to share with you here, because I know that we're living in these tough times, and many of you could be feeling overwhelmed, anxious, worried, fearful. It's uncertain, the times, the world outside of you is uncertain. It's insecure. And if you're not careful, you could imbibe that feeling, and that would not be so good for you. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes before I go into what I did and what you can do too. Hopefully take some questions from you. And then what I'd love to do is walk us through a little meditation. But hey, let's see. If there is anyone there, maybe just say hello in the live chat. Give me a thumbs up. Let me see you. I love YouTube. I can't believe that I have only just started to do lives. I really do love YouTube. There's so much great information on here, and I'm subscribed to a lot of people. So, I know there is the Clubhouse that everyone's on, but I don't know. There's just something about YouTube that I find appealing. I just find it, I don't know, a bit more, I think it just feels more intimate. You can build more of a connection with people than on Clubhouse. You get to see me, of course. It's not just a conversation. So, this is my living room behind me. I'm in Somerset in England, so it probably looks very sparse, very minimal, which it is. I'm waiting for a sofa to come, but I can't get it until the 14th of October. Hi there, how nice to see you. Fantastic. I'm early, unusual for me, but I was so terrified of making such a mess of it like I did on Saturday. That I was here super early. Had my assistant come over to make sure that I knew exactly what buttons to press. Lovely to see you. How you doing? It's all perfect today. It is. Oh, hi, Paula. Lovely to see you. Why did I leave Ibiza and come back to the UK? That's a great question. Do you know what? There's a season for everything. There's a time, there's a place, there's a season. And it's important to know when it's time to move on. So, I loved Ibiza, and I was there for about 4.5 years. But the thing to remember is there's a winter there. It's not like it's sunshine the whole year round. There's a winter, but also it just felt like it was time to come back to the rest of the world, because, weather-wise, it's very intense in the summer. So if you live there, you really want to leave in August. And it's very crowded. It's obviously very popular in the summer months. And then in the winter, it's actually very, very quiet, which was fine for me because I wanted to break as well from, I just wanted to break. So it was a perfect place for me. And I just, when you're quite intuitive with yourself, you can just feel the time to move on. So I came to the UK in August, about 2 years ago, just because it was August, just to get away from the heat. And I came to Somerset just because I knew a few friends in Glastonbury. I just thought, well, that's a nice place. And I ended up staying in this area way past when I was supposed to have gone back. I could feel my cat sending me messages going, you said 3 weeks. Hello, it's practically 3 months. So Then serendipity stepped in. I was staying with a friend of a friend. Her partner was there when I turned up one day, and they were both laughing. And I said, "What's so funny?" And they said, you just won't leave. I said, "I know. I've just got this feeling that maybe I'm going to stay here." And she said, "Well, that's the other thing we were laughing about." She said, "David, who's a property developer, said the other day that for the first time he's met someone that he could imagine living in this fabulous house that he had done up, that he just finished restoring, but he loved it so much he just couldn't bear the idea of anybody living in it." Honestly. And it was sitting empty, and it had been sitting empty for 18 months. Seriously. Every day he would go down and feed the chickens and do a little bit of painting and a little bit of this, but essentially it was sitting empty. And she said, "Yeah, after he met you, he said, gosh, I could actually imagine Fiona living there." So I ended up living in this fabulous, restored, I guess, forge farmhouse that was just exquisite, with this massively expensive aga in the kitchen that I obviously never used. And I went over, packed up my stuff, got my cat a passport, my Ibiza cat, and it was the right thing. And I had this fabulous house that I lived in myself. Friends came to visit, my son came to visit, but I had this fabulous space. I lived there for about 18 months. And then I again, serendipity, but I won't go into detail. Serendipity brought me to this house that I then bought. This is my own place. So it was just the time, So it's good not to stay. It's not to overstay your welcome, as it were. Great to see you, Sue. It's good to know when it's time to move on. And it's good to trust in life, in the process of life. And I feel that when you do that, life opens up. And you have these lovely coincidences and opportunities and people coming your way. I remember people saying to me, when I went to Ibiza, people said to me, "Gosh, you're so brave." Wow. I mean, you hardly know anyone there and you're just going. And then people said to me when I left Ibiza and I came here, people said, "Gosh, you're so brave." Wow. You're leaving Ibiza in November and you hardly know anyone. And here's what I know. I actually don't necessarily, okay, it's a little bit of bravery. It's a bit of courage because you're moving into the unknown. But here's what I really know. I know that the universe speaks to you in a whisper, and then a shout, and then a scream. And when you hold on and you resist the whisper, when you resist change, that's when life gets difficult. I see that happen. I see that happen to people. So I'm good with the whisper. As long as I hear that whisper, I'm happy to go. And also, we're going to talk about this a little bit more this evening. I'm big on prayer. I'm big on, sounds a little bit grand, but I'm big on divine guidance. I'm big on handing over the question. I am big on letting go of where I need to be. So it makes life much easier, believe me. So I like to sort of send out that request, that prayer. Where is the best place for me to be of the most service, to be happy, to be well. And then when you send out that request, you have to let go. You have to let go. You can't be prescriptive. You can't say, "I'm open, please help me, please show me," and then go, "Oh, by the way, there are 5 key areas that I'm interested in. I am definitely not interested in these areas." You just have to let go. And that sort of letting go has been so useful, so useful, so useful for me in my life. I mean, I never even got to make a phone call once I was beginning to think that I was going to move to Somerset. I began to think, well, I should call some estate agents and probably rent somewhere for the first year. I never even got to make that phone call because the house was just there and it was hilarious, literally sitting empty for 18 months until I showed up. And when I went into it, it was just like, the Goldilocks. Is it Alice in the Three? Somebody remind me that is it the Goldilocks, or what's it called? She walks into the house. The three bears, Goldilocks and the three bears. She walks into the house and it's like this perfect house. Everything is laid out. And that's exactly what it was like. I walked in and it was like, oh my goodness me. I could literally sit down now and start to live here. The furniture was exactly what I would have bought. I mean, it was perfect for that. Very stylish, very tastefully done. Perfect for the farmhouse, the rustic furniture. Anyways, so my feeling is, listen to the whisper. Don't hold on, because that's when life starts to get difficult. When people grip on from a place of fear or insecurity. Oh, I don't want to go. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's around the corner. I want to stay here. It's not great, but hey. So, yeah. All right, great. So I'm so excited to be with you this evening and live. So here's why we're gathered here this evening. I did the live and I talked about these times that we're living in. And you have to be careful because there's so much fear that is being generated and comes your way. So you have to manage that. You have to monitor it. You have to be selective. But here's the opportunity. The opportunity is to really acknowledge that you cannot depend or rely on or expect outside circumstances to give you a feeling of peace within, to make you feel good within. And so often we do that without even noticing that we're doing it because two reasons. One is we're conditioned to do that. We're conditioned to look at the world or our external circumstances and conditions and think, well, when I get that house or when I paid up my mortgage or when I've moved there or when I've lost some weight or when I've met my ideal partner, I'm going to feel good. I mean, we just do. And the other thing is that we sometimes don't manage and monitor the external world and keep it enough as a distance. But the most important reason I'm here with you this evening, the most important message I want to share with you is that you absolutely can experience peace within, regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of the insecurity and the uncertainty outside of you. And here's what I think. I think this may be the number one, I think it is the number one challenge that we face today, truthfully, really and truly. Because if you can create internal peace and stability and calm, you can manage your life. You can handle anything, frankly, because you certainly feel that way. You feel that you can handle anything. So I am a glass is half full girl. So I'm always looking for the opportunity in everything. Napoleon Hill said that very often opportunity comes disguised as misfortune. So the misfortune that we have is the world in the state it's in. The fear that's being generated, the uncertainty, the insecurity that is being generated. And we're, somewhat at the mercy of that. But actually, we don't have to be. Actually, we don't have to be. So the opportunity is that we're in these very extreme times, very explicit times. Unfortunately, suicide has increased, especially during lockdown. Depression, clinical depression has doubled. I don't even want to list all the stuff, but you know it, you've seen it, you've read about it. All the indications of mental distress, shall we say, they're out there. Now, people will probably turn to all sorts of things to feel better. Drugs, prescribed or otherwise, alcohol, food, people put on weight. A lot of Netflix. Netflix has gone through the roof during lockdown. I think they have more of the market share of all the terrestrial and sky channels put together. So we know that. So how do I know that you can absolutely experience peace inside, calm, contentment, happiness, joy, occasionally even bliss, a little bit of bliss? How do I know that? I know it because 5-6 years ago, when I was living in Ibiza, I got to a point where I really just felt that my life was such a struggle. And it just felt a burden. Wasn't in any way suicidal. Don't want you to think that I wasn't. I just felt, jeepers creepers. I'm doing everything that I know to do. I mean, I've always had a good business and lots of clients and all of that. But it just felt this incredible struggle. And I thought to myself, I don't know what else to do. I am all out of ideas. I am doing everything I know to do. And actually, I exercise. I have a very clean diet. I do yoga. I meditate. Hello, what else is there? And that's when I thought, I wonder what else is there? Because, maybe like you, I've got all the books, and all the books are on the bookshelf, all the spiritual books, and, about angels and connecting with God and conversations with God and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, I've read the books, but I don't actually apply any of this. Don't actually live my life in connection with any sort of connection to the divine. So here's what I did. I just, I was praying, and I just sent out a message, and I just said, listen, if there is anything, let me know. I am all out of ideas, and maybe I don't know everything. So I'm open. I'm absolutely open. I'm asking and I'm begging. Now, you could say that sounds a bit like a dark night of the soul, and I would agree with you. And here's what I also think. I think, truthfully, one has to get to that point. Now, you don't have to get to that point, if you know what I mean. You don't have to feel that low, but you do have to be humble, to be serious about sending out that intention and sending out that request. So if you do it in a half-hearted way, my opinion is you'll get a half-hearted response. So I'm curious, how many of you here now do feel that you could send out a wholehearted, humble request for help? Give me a yes here if that's the case for you. Because here's the thing. I had been meditating for many years. And you could think, well, that's a spiritual practice. But not necessarily. It only becomes a spiritual practice if you enshrine it in an intention. And it only becomes, you're only creating a stronger connection with the divine spirit source, your higher self, higher power, whichever you want to call it, but that force that's clearly above and beyond us, that we are connected to, that we are a part of. So I feel that we have free will. Well, I know that we have free will. And I feel that we're only likely to establish that closer connection when we allow it in, when we invite that stronger connection. Isn't that interesting? So what happened for me was I didn't have anything dramatic. We read books and we hear stories about people who, Diana Cooper, the angel lady, who, by all accounts, had a visitation, an angel come to her and ask, answer her questions and give her support and also give her a vision for how her life was to be. I'd love to say I had something dramatic like that. I didn't. It wasn't like I had an Eckhart Tolle experience where there was a voice during the night. I didn't have that. I didn't have anything, truthfully. But here's what did happen. I was sitting outside my usual coffee shop the next day, pardon me, in San Carlos, if anyone knows Ibiza, about 11 o'clock, as I normally did. And I just noticed that I felt completely different. And then something extraordinary occurred to me. What occurred to me was that nothing in my life had actually changed. Nothing in my external circumstances had changed. I hadn't won the lottery. I hadn't met some fabulous chap. Nothing in my life, not a single thing had changed. And yet, I felt completely different. How interesting is that? And that's the first time, and maybe the only time, that I've had that experience of the outside world being exactly as it was, doing its thing as it had been the day before. And yet I felt completely different. And then maybe you're wondering, anybody wondering if anything did change in my physical circumstances? Give me a yes if you are. Otherwise, I'll just not bother. Maybe you're not interested. So things did start to change in my external circumstances. And what changed was that, the most tangible change, the thing I can really point to and chart and see and show you, was that my income went up dramatically in the weeks and the month in particular, in the month after that. And dramatically, I made more money in that month than I'd ever made in any month. But here's the interesting point that's really important about that. It was through me changing, because I didn't even notice the making of the money. And I know that might sound ridiculous. How do you not notice? But I wasn't sort of adding it up and thinking, oh gosh, that's great. And up until that point, I had been this humongously target, goal-driven person. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying I had been this very pushy person. And when you're a pushy person, you're pushing at people. What happens when you push at people? Exactly. They're going to back away. You have to push harder. They back away. And your life becomes an incredible struggle. There's a lot of tension in it, and it's just so much harder. You're always in this constant battle. So I was in this American mastermind, and it was very goal and target driven and numbers and sales and the whole thing, and very competitive. And I'd become very much that way. And then I just got to a point really where I just thought, I cannot live like this. I just can't live like this. I don't know what the alternative is. And that's when I said, I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know what I'm even missing. What am I not seeing? What do I need to do differently? I don't have no idea. So yeah, I can see that what happened in that change was that I became, well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. So I was doing the same sort of work, if you like. You know, we have coaching products and services that we sell. And I was speaking to people as I was beforehand, but I guess I was speaking in a different way. I had become genuinely interested in the other person and what was going on for them, what needed to change for them to get a different result, and then how I could help. And I became focused on the service rather than the sale. So I stopped selling overnight in the way that I had been. You know, I had been a very pushy person. And I stopped selling overnight without consciously thinking about it or making that decision. And I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known. And it wasn't a cerebral, an intellectual change. And it wasn't a strategy change. It wasn't like, hey, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to do it like this. I just became, it was like I was just different as a person. So I was different with people. So people were just saying to me, that sounds really good. Yeah, I like the sound of that. You could really help me with that? Absolutely, I could. Absolutely, I definitely could. We could do this, and then we could do this. And people were just saying, well, let me just get my credit card. I'll do the pay in full. Okay. So I was just not chalking up the wins. And then, and by the way, let me just say, I'm not an angel. I still have to occasionally keep myself in check. I'll be honest with you, because don't forget, I spent 20 years being a type of person. So, you know, I keep myself in check, but it's not hard because I truly did change pretty dramatically overnight. I don't always experience bliss and peace every day, but I practice. I know how to get to that point. And I know when I've slipped out of that place. And I know how to plug myself back in. And we're going to do this in a few minutes. I'm going to walk you through how to do this, right? What I did and what I do now. So I know the difference. So I just wasn't paying attention to the numbers. And my assistant called me up one day and said, do you know how much money you've made in the past 2 weeks? And I said, no, not really. No, not at all. She said, it's quite a lot. I said, really? And it was something, it was something crazy, really. Maybe for you it's not crazy. I don't know. But truthfully, it was something crazy. I'll be very honest with you. It was something like £35,000. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to think that I am sharing some big lots of money, get rich quick scheme. It's not. For me to have seen the difference in me, that's where it was going to show up, because that's how I spent every day, as it were. A large part of my every day was speaking to people on calls, showing them how we could help, selling them products and programs and private coaching or group coaching. So, and for me, the big struggle had been around, making money without it being such a struggle. So if I was going to see a difference in my life, obviously it was going to be in the area of money. It could be for you in a different area. If there's a change for you that needs to happen, that gets to happen. So I just want to be really clear about that. Some of you are probably wondering, has that stayed consistent? After that first month, it sort of calmed down a little bit. I genuinely feel that I sort of had the opportunity. Maybe I was shown the opportunity. Maybe I was given the opportunity to really see in black and white terms that a shift had really taken place. There was evidence for it, like on my bank balance. Hello. I'm going to be very honest with you now. And this is not, you got to just take my word for this. I'm not bragging. I actually don't want to really share this stuff with you, but I'm going to because it illustrates the point. One day I made £50,000. I know. I mean, I still needed to do the work. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like people were just giving me money for no good reason. I sold a VIP program for 6 months that was 35,000. I sold a regular 6-month program that was 10, a 3-month program at 5, and that was after 3 phone calls. So everybody take a breath in and out. I want to be very honest with you. I got to experience a real change in who I was being. Can I tell you exactly what could change for you? No, that's definitely not in my power to do that. You might not even be in need of such a dramatic change as I got. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. Tell me. Put it in the chat box. If you aren't, it's completely fine. It doesn't matter. It's all good. You're going to feel better anyways. You're going to feel better anyways. But how many of you feel, that there is scope, there is space for a big change, a very big change? It really depends on how you're feeling, how life is right now. And you might not be in that same place. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sue. I absolutely did let go. You're absolutely right. There's that phrase, let go and let God. I absolutely did. And you have to be humble. You have to say, I maybe don't know everything. Maybe I don't know anything. I don't know. So you have to be humble. And the thing was, you see, I had no idea. Yeah. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea to expect anything. No idea at all. So it wasn't like I was looking at the clock going, hello, I'd like a result, please. I'd like something to change. It wasn't like I said, hey, I need to make more money and I'd like to make it easily. Thank you very much. There was nothing prescriptive. There's nothing I was sending out. So here's why I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing this with you because of the times that we're living in. I feel it's incumbent upon me to share this with you. And if it helps one person who's listening to this, then it's been worth it. Because I know that there's no need to be really, really super stressed. I know that. When we look at our circumstances, I also know that if you don't put a practice in place to nurture your internal world, your internal environment, then you're in a very rocky place in these times. Because the world, well, actually, Eckhart Tolle said it beautifully. I'm just going to give it to Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle said, the world will drive you insane if you allow it. And I think that time has come. I think we're living in that time where the world could drive you insane if you allow it, right? So much division, so many things going on that could make you feel like, So the world will drive you insane if you allow it. Now, here's the other thing. You might be thinking, gosh, can this change? Can like feeling better inside really lead to changes in my external situation, the circumstances of my life? And I would say, yeah, absolutely. Do I know what exactly that could look like for you? No, of course I don't. But here's what I know. I know that when you feel better inside, you know this too, when you feel better inside, you feel more confident, you feel more capable, you feel more optimistic, and you can start to see solutions. Also, you'll change, your energy will change, which means that you will attract opportunities and people. And frankly, people will want to be around you. Now, that's just common sense. That's just common sense. And beyond that, I know that when you begin to live your life in partnership, more in partnership with a higher power, I know from experience that life becomes a lot easier. And it certainly does feel like you've got a helping hand. Yeah. So there are books around this. I mentioned it on the other live that I sort of looked at after I'd had my experience. Things like Andrew Harvey, The Divine, I think it's called The Divine Path. I think it's called The Divine Path, where he basically talks about that now we're living in a time where we, you, me, as individuals, we can have that direct connection. We can have that direct connection to higher power. We don't have to go through a priest or a pastor. We don't have to go to a church. We don't have to go through an intermediary, right? We can do it ourselves. Because remember, the spark of the divine is in you. Spark of the divine is in you. You're just activating it. You're igniting it. You're inviting that closer connection. Remember, you have free will. And I think that it's available for us to spark that stronger connection. And I think we get to do that. Maybe it won't happen automatically. That's just me guessing. But I just know that free will means we get to go, hey, how can I connect even stronger? Please help me. I am open. So any questions, my darlings? Because what I would love to do, if you'd like, is just to walk you through a simple meditation that allows you to begin that process, if you'd like to connect even stronger. Very happy to do that. Very happy to do that. Yeah. So tarot card reading is interesting. And I think it is probably a lot to do with, I think tarot card reading is probably a lot to do with someone who is probably being guided with information. If they're really being of benefit and helpful to you, I think they're probably just using the cards as tools of divination. But the thing is, I would encourage you in the first instance to really work on your own connection, work on your own intuition. And what I started to do after this change is every morning I would take a pen and paper and I would write down, what do I need to hear today? What do I need to hear today? What do I need to hear today? And you start to begin a dialogue, if you like, or you start to get guidance. And if it sits with you, great. It's a little bit like Neil Donald Walsh, the book's Conversations with God, where he started off by simply saying, hey, God, if there is such a thing, if you're there, I would like to know some answers. Thank you. And, that series, those 5 books came about from simply that conversation. So, I know that when you create this closer connection with higher power, you're going to become much more intuitive. It's a little bit like you are just a part of that greater force field. You are more highly attuned. You're more highly aligned to those higher energies. Because if you think about it, fear is the lowest vibration. You don't want to be staying there. It's a very low, dense vibration. At the other end of the scale, you've got joy, compassion, unconditional love. Joy, compassion, kindness, unconditional love, those are energies that are aligned with the divine energy. So when you become humble and you ask for that help and you are meditating and you're more closely connected with that divine energy, your own energy is becoming more aligned. It's becoming more aligned with kindness, compassion, joy, and unconditional love. So you're naturally going to be receiving guidance. You're opening up. You're opening up. So you're naturally you're going to have your intuition heightened. So having said all that, shall we start this? Shall we do it? Okay, get yourself comfortable. Get yourself comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like to, and take a beautiful breath in. Beautiful breath in. Beautiful breath out. And you're just letting go. You're letting go of everything. Let's do that a few times. Beautiful breath in. Beautiful breath out. And really let yourself sigh out. Letting go. Take at least 3 beautiful deep breaths. Clear, fresh energy coming in. Letting go of anything that you don't need right now. Letting go of any tension, any tightness, any tiredness, anything at all. Letting go of anything that doesn't serve you, strengthen, or support you. And this letting go is just with the power of your intention, just with you intending, sending out that intention, letting go. Beautiful. Letting go of any limitations that you've placed upon yourself or taken on board from others, letting go of that as well. Feeling all of that just pour out of you easily and automatically. Beautiful. Letting yourself sigh out, your shoulders soften and relax. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now, if you'd like to, sending out that signal from you, from your mind, to your higher self, to draw closer. Your higher self is your spirit self, the part of you that is eternal, that goes on beyond this human, this physical experience. Sending out that invitation for your higher self to draw closer. So your higher self and human self are more closely fused together. Beautiful, beautiful. Feel that drawing around you. And you have access to those higher realms of power, perspective, and guidance. Those higher realms of spirit. Beautiful. Source, spirit, the divine, higher consciousness, pure love, God. Beautiful. Sending out that signal, if you'd like to the divine, to that higher source, spirit, to draw closer, to draw closer. If there is a particular figure, perhaps a saint, or perhaps Jesus, or just a figure that you perhaps grew up with, maybe in school or in your church that you feel an affinity to, you could also include that particular figure. You're inviting a closer connection. So Wayne Dyer called meditation conscious connection with God. Conscious connection with God. And I believe that that definitely is the case if we invite in and allow in that closer connection. I believe it's with the power of your intent. So you get to choose whether you bring in and allow that closer connection. You get to choose. So if you would like to choose now, then by all means, sending out that signal, that intention, that desire to draw closer for Spirit, Source, the Divine, God, to draw closer. Now, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you have something that you would like help with, you get to send out that question. You get to send out that request. You get to ask. You get to ask for help. You get to literally say, in your own words, whichever words you use, please God, help me too. So you get to put that request out there. The only thing I would say is, I don't think we really get to ask for the red Ferrari. Or perhaps the house being in the particular area. This is about letting go and letting God. This is about asking for help and receiving help that is for your highest good. Highest good. Highest good. And you see, we don't want to ask for things from our limited human perspective. That's when we ask for things like the red Ferrari or the bigger house. So that's our limited human perspective. Sometimes things happen to us in life that we would not really ask for or wish for. But looking back, we can see actually it was ideal in order to allow us to learn something or to take us to the next place that we were going to, that it was a part of our evolution. It was part of a process, but we don't have that perspective at the time in the moment. And life is all about growth. So you're here to grow. At the same time, we don't have to suffer. It doesn't have to be suffering. So handing over the exact nature of the help to a higher power. Because that higher power has, and our higher self has, a wider perspective than we have here and now. So letting go of the detail. Letting go of the detail. Beautiful. So feel that connection around you. Feel that energy. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. And just breathing. Letting any thoughts just pass on by as they come to you. Just breathing and enjoying that connection. And now, when you're ready, beginning to feel your body on the chair. Legs, hands, feet. Taking a beautiful breath in, beautiful breath out. When you're ready, in your own time, no rush at all. No rush at all, in your own time. Opening your eyes. And if you want to keep your eyes closed, that's completely fine as well. So what I would invite you to do is to get a journal for this. Get a notebook. And I would write out that question or that help that you're asking for. Okay? And my invitation is to turn this into a daily practice. And I don't just mean, hey, asking for stuff, but I mean a daily practice of conscious connecting. And truthfully, after a while, it's probably going to feel so nice that it's not something that you have to remind yourself or discipline yourself to do. It's something that you want to do. So I meditate every morning. I do what I've just done with you. I tend to do at least half an hour. And if I haven't done that, it's very hard for me to just go steamrolling into the day. I really feel I haven't made that conscious connection. I notice the difference. So even if you don't do it for half an hour, do it for 10 minutes, do it for 15, do it for what you can, when you can, what you can. And I would have your notebook and I would do exactly what we have done here. You just get into this quiet, peaceful place. You breathe, you let go. You breathe, you let go. You breathe, you let go. And you send out that intention for your higher self to draw closer. You have to send out that intention, that invitation. You send out that intention, that invitation for higher power, spirit, source, the divine, Jesus, whichever you're most comfortable with, to draw closer. And you enjoy that connection. Let me know now here, give me an indication if you felt a degree of peace in what you just did. I know it was a very short time, just a few minutes, but even so, let me know if you experienced something. I mean, I'm not talking fireworks. I mean, just a degree of peace, a degree of calm, a shift, a subtle shift in how you felt. So you do this every morning. Don't worry about looking for a change or a result. You got to just let it go. You just got to let it go. Got to let it go. And in the notebook in the morning, what I would encourage you to do as well is just write out, what do I need to hear today? What do I need to hear today? And just allow yourself to write out what comes through for you. I'm just looking at your comments. Oh, that's so nice. I'm so glad, Zoe. Zoe, you feel peaceful, Sue, very calming. Beautiful, Paula. Content, beautiful. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. So is this making sense, guys? It doesn't sound too crazy. Good. Terrific. So I will be back here live on Saturday morning at 10. Yes, that's lovely, Paul. You do this when you go to bed. Feel relaxed. That's a great time to do it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I will be here Saturday morning, and let me know, what would you like me to cover on Saturday morning? And I'll be here again this time next Monday. I'm going to keep those times regular. Would it be useful? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think what my schedule is like. Maybe. Would it be useful to do this again on Wednesday? I could do it around this time on Wednesday. Yeah, I could actually. I'm just imagining my diary. Wednesday. Would this be useful? So you get into the way of this. And here's the thing, you got to tell other people about this. Tell anyone who you feel would benefit. And Wednesday, let's do it on Wednesday, the same time at 7. And it'll just help you get this embedded. And I really want to hear, actually, what I really want to hear is how you are tomorrow and the day after, and just what you notice. Yeah, beautiful. Good. Any questions at all, guys? This is great. I'm so happy that you've had this experience. So happy. It's not my regular coaching that I tend to do, but hey ho ho, we're in extreme times. Yeah, extreme times. So, the most important thing is not to make a decision from a place of fear. Right now, there's a lot of cajoling, you could even say coercing, to make decisions from a place of fear about, shall we say, medical interventions and medical procedures. And I don't think making decisions from a place of fear, when it's such a big decision, is a healthy thing. So hopefully this practice will help reduce any fear that you feel, and you can make decisions that feel right for you, I mean, I genuinely used to be, in retrospect, so fear-driven. Always thought I was going to end up a bag lady on the streets. Even when I had a 6-figure business. I still have a 6-figure business. You know what I mean? That was still my fear. That, I'd end up homeless, destitute. So yeah, I used to have that constant fear. I literally, thank God I don't have it now. So yeah. All right, my darlings, I'm going to love you and leave you. It has been my absolute pleasure to be with you. It really has. I'll be here at 7 on Wednesday, and we'll talk some more about this whole process. I want to hear from you, how you have been, and open your ears and eyes to, other people, other influences who have maybe had a similar experience to the one I'm talking about. I mean, look, I'm not for a single second putting myself into the category of people like Eckhart Tolle, who obviously had a very extreme experience and went from tremendous anxiety and despair to bliss. We all probably know the story of him sitting on a park bench for 5 months because he was in such a state of bliss. That's a very extreme example. And that experience set him up to become probably the most influential spiritual teacher of our times. But people who have had near-death experiences, people like Anita Moorjani, people like Dr. Eben Alexander, those people will tell you the profound shift, the great change that came upon them, that they emerged with. So it's just useful for you to know, to see the difference that it makes when you make this conscious decision to connect more closely with the divine. Now, I don't think any of us needs to have a near-death experience to have that experience of the conscious how it feels to more consciously connect with the divine. Anita Morjani would say that Anita Morjani had stage 4 cancer. Her body was closing down, and the priest had been to give her the last rites. So she was really, really, seriously not well. But she said for her, the great big lesson that she came back with was to live her life fearlessly, to live her life without fear. And that is a great, great message for all of us, to live your life without fear. And right now, that's probably a massive challenge for all of us in these times. So I'm so happy that we've met here this evening and done this. And I'll be here on Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here. Namaste. The divine in me honors the divine in you. And put your comments here. I'm going to read them in a second, read them properly. And I'm so happy to have spent this time with you. And I cannot wait to find out how this is for you between now and Wednesday. All right, my darlings, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love for now. Have a gorgeous evening. Take care. All the best. Bye.